another episode of Council Connections. This program is an opportunity for your elected officials to keep you up to date on the events, legislation, and initiatives that matter most. I'm Char Freedberg, and today I'm pleased to welcome Council President James Kole. Thank you so much for being with us.
You're very welcome.
So, you've been a part of the City of Laurel Council for some time, first as the council member and then as the council president. Are there any differences between the two, and what does the council president do?
Sure. So this is my second term, so I'm now serving in my third year. First year, you're really getting to know the job. Second year, you're really getting into the nuts and bolts of things. And then as president, the president is elected by the rest of the council. It's not just running the meetings. There's a lot more that goes with the president. There's a lot more meetings that I wasn't aware of. Things that you just need to be briefed on just in case something were to happen. If the mayor is ever unavailable, you also fill in for the mayor. So we have a lot of events in Laurel, and we all can't be at the same place or in multiple places at once. So sometimes he'll be in one place, I'll be in another. We work together just to make sure that the city is represented well.
That sounds good. And what happens when neither of you guys can be at one specific event?
At that point, we have our president pro tem, currently Kyla Clark, and she is able to attend those in our place instead.
That is very good to know. So what made you decide to run for office back in 2021?
So I've always had a passion for helping people. I also have a little bit of a passion for procedural things. So meetings and rules of how the meetings should run have always interested me. In college, I helped rewrite bylaws for 3 different groups that I was in.
Wow.
I was watching council meetings and thought that I could help, and thought that if I had a position where I could help rewrite legislation or help direct residents to places where they should go at City Hall, or you need to speak with this person, I wanted to help the others, and so I put myself out there, and here we are today. Hopefully I'm still helping plenty of people.
Honestly, I think you are, based on some of the things that I've seen. And what was your initial reaction when you found out you would be elected council president?
So when I was elected council president, there were only 2 of us that were on council at the time that had served before. We had 3 new council members. I was honored to have it, but also knew the responsibility that would be coming with the job.
Great power and all that.
It's not so much power. I mean, when you're president of the council during the meetings, you're an equal among your peers. You just happen to be presiding over the meeting.
Okay. So what are some of the current challenges facing our city, and how is the council working to address those?
So one of our biggest challenges, and it's going to happen every year, is the budget. I mean, every year we grow as a city. We want to add more services. We never want to subtract from services. We need to make sure that we're being able to fund that without raising taxes. Nobody wants to pay more. So it's always making sure that we're being fiscally responsible, asking the questions, whether it's in a meeting or a lot of times we have the information presented ahead of time. We can ask those questions separately through email and get the answers to make sure that we are positively spending our residents' money to do the most good with the best bang for our buck.
That's really nice. I really like that. And what are some key accomplishments or projects that you've been most proud of during your time on the council?
So the council passes a lot of resolutions and ordinances. I think the one that I didn't really get behind at the beginning, because I thought it was just going to be a big pain for everybody, myself included, was going to be the plastic bag ban. That was already banned by the time I came on council, but then we switched it where it's now 10 cents for also the paper bag. Now when I see the research from like the Sierra Club and see the number of people coming to the grocery stores with their own bags, it makes me just feel really good that we were able to help not just Laurel, but eventually it should hopefully adopt in a wider audience outside of the city and just help the planet. I mean, back in the day, our grandparents and great-grandparents, they didn't come to the store expecting a free bag. They brought their own. We're just going back to what's always worked. Is it a pain when you forget your bag? Yes. Have I forgotten my bag? All the time. But then when I do remember it, I remember this is why we're doing it. We're doing it for future generations. It makes me feel really good.
Really nice. And hopefully a model for other cities to keep looking toward. How do you stay connected with the residents in Ward 1, and what are some of the most common concerns or feedback that you hear from them?
Sure. I mean, Ward 1 is a very active ward. I live in the historic district, which sometimes feels like a giant HOA, but also feels like a family. Everybody knows everyone generally in Ward 1. I'd like to walk through the neighborhood The neighborhood has community cleanup parties, epiphany parties. There's all the different events for the city. Everybody in Ward 1 is very engaged. So if I'm out, chances are a lot of the residents are out. And I encourage them, if you don't go to these events, please come out. You can meet a lot of your neighbors. You can feel like a much bigger part of the city. And then we can speak. We can have a conversation on and off, because coming to a council meeting isn't always easy to ask your questions. And it might require a much longer conversation. So just being out, seeing people, being always approachable, they come out, we get to talk, and then I can point them in the right direction. A lot of the stuff that I get questioned on is permits or city services. Who do I need to contact? Who should I call? Hey, I think this could be better. Giving me that feedback helps me go to the administration saying, hey, we need to work on this. Right now, one of the things is just the city website. We just rolled out a brand new website a little less than a year ago now. There are still problems finding things on it. I, as a council person, have them, but the city's working on them, but we can't work on it if we don't know about it. So just having that feedback from the residents is really helpful.
Really nice. And how should people contact you?
So to contact me, the easiest way is jkole, Kole, at laurel.md.us, or they can call the clerk's office at 301-725-5300. Ask for Councilman Kole. Leave a message, and I'll get back to you generally within 24 hours.
All right. So looking ahead, what are some of the main goals or projects that you hope to focus on in the coming year to improve the city of Laurel and address the needs of our residents?
So the council's main job is legislation, and I have a lot of legislation that I would like to bring up, stuff that we need to just update. We have land development codes that need to be updated to match state requirements. We have election law that really needs to be cleaned up this year before the next election cycle. We're currently working on that. Different council members are taking different initiatives. Other items that we need to work on are just, how does the council rules govern the council? So we don't follow Robert's Rules of Order. We have our own standing rules. I've been working on updates for that just to help modernize. The last time that legislation was fully overhauled was 2012. There's been small updates to it since then, but what can we do to modernize it and make it fit the new council?
Really like that. And what are you looking forward to just in general in the upcoming months?
Upcoming months, we have a really new council. Like I said at the beginning, it takes about a year for them to really learn the job. With me as the only tenured person on the council and 4 new members, we should really see the council start to get into a groove of how things are going to go. Because they've now learned the job, we're getting there. We're going to start seeing them introduce legislation.
That's really nice. I'm looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing what they're going to introduce. So now we're just going to have a little bit of fun. I'm going to give you a series of questions to answer. So what's your favorite season, first off?
Favorite season for me is probably spring, because you get to see all the spring bulbs coming up. Sun's just starting to get warmer. It's still cool. I like the cool mornings. Nice walk in the evening at night. It's not too hot. Summer's probably a little too hot for me.
I think we all agree with that. Maryland weather is a little crazy sometimes. Are you a dog or a cat person?
I am a dog person. I like all animals, but dogs prefer.
Do you have a dog of your own?
We have a chocolate lab. He's 90 pounds of fur.
All right. Do you have a favorite color or?
I'm colorblind, so I'm red-green colorblind. The one color that I can see all the time in different shades is blue, so I love blue.
Nice. That is very interesting. Oh. When you get the chance to read, do you prefer actual reading, like a physical copy, or an audiobook?
So I actually prefer Kindle Audibles, just because I can read on my phone, and then if I'm in my car, I can switch over to Audible. The next time I have a chance to actually read, I can switch back over right where the Audible left off. So I can do a hybrid of both, and I get a lot more reading done.
That is honestly really smart. What's your favorite kind of book?
I normally like a good fantasy book. I've read all of the Game of Thrones series, Tolkien's works on Lord of the Rings, all that stuff where you just go into a completely different world and get to escape this one for a little bit.
I honestly really like that, and fantasy are my favorite kind of books too. I wish there were more for adults, but I might have to ask you for some recommendations.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
I like chocolate chip cookie dough.
Nice, classic. Are you an Android or an iPhone guy?
I am an Android. I mean, that conversation always comes up, and you're either one or the other, and it's normally the one that you started with. So I started with Android, probably how I'll stay.
All right. Do you have a favorite way to exercise?
I like walking. I'm not really physically active as far as running and jogging and weightlifting, but walking is a great way to exercise, and I can see a lot of town that way. So we have a lot of parks in Laurel. I walk Riverfront Park quite frequently. In the winter months when it's dark, you can still walk with all of our street lights. And fun time with that is the My Laurel app to report out lights at night.
That is very good to know. Yes, the My Laurel app is a very, very useful app. What's your favorite way to relax when you have downtime? Because I can imagine you are very busy.
So a good way to unplug for me is I have a passion for the environment, but that started with gardening. So at home I have a pretty large vegetable garden, pretty intensive landscaping. It's not uncommon to find me outside for 2 or 3 hours on the weekend, just gardening. You can unplug from everything else and just focus on the plants in front of you.
What's your favorite vegetable that you've grown?
I really like tomatoes. There are hundreds and hundreds of varieties. I start them from seed. I have a grow set up in the basement. I start in March growing stuff that you can't buy at Home Depot. So the chances are I have a variety that you may never have heard of.
Honestly, I love that. And probably the truth is they're all very tasty rather than just like the hit or miss kinds that you get in the store. Like, oh, this is good versus some of them are like, I'm not a fan. So what pearls of wisdom, finally, can you share with your constituents?
Always reach out. If we don't know about it, we can't help fix it. The other part is government works slow. Sometimes it is much slower than I would like, but it's how things operate and we can't change it unless we know about it. So reach out, stay engaged, have patience, and we're going to continue to work on it together.
Council President James Kole, thank you so much for being with us and for all this super interesting knowledge about you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for tuning into this episode of Council Connections. I'm Char Freedberg, and I'll see you next time.